Paul and I play the bass. I'm George and I play a guitar. I'm John and I too play a guitar. Sometimes I play the fool.
Right, good morning. Welcome aboard the Magic Mission. So my name's Neil, I'm your guide. This is Ross, our wonderful driver today.
Good morning, folks.
Morning. For the next 2 hours, or thereabouts, we're going to take you to the suburbs of Liverpool, show you some of the places made famous by the Beatles and other bands from the 1960s, including some of the birthplaces, the schools, the homes, maybe a bar or two if we get the chance, you never know. Now the first port of call is the Albert Dock, Europe's largest collection of Grade 1 listed buildings, and of course situated right on the banks of the River Mersey. That river was made famous in 1964 by a film and song of the same title, Ferry Across the Mersey. Song performed by Jerry and the Pacemakers, another band also managed by the Beatles' second manager, Brian Epstein. It was also on that river, Christmas Eve 1945, that Pete Best and his family arrived from India on a troop ship to set up in Liverpool. Pete, of course, being the first of the full-time drummers with the Beatles. But also during the 1950s, Ringo Starr got himself a job working on the ferries as a barman. That was a job that was to last him for about a week. As you'll find out a little bit later, Ringo didn't like working for a living. Should have been a coach driver. While you're at the docks, you may have noticed the new arena. On the next dock along there, the King's Dock, M&S Bank Arena. The official opening was done January 2008 by Ringo Starr. Now Paul McCartney's also made a couple of appearances at the arena. November 2008, we were very lucky to host the MTV Europe Music Awards. Paul was in attendance to receive for being the ultimate legend in popular music. It was Bono from U2 who presented Paul with his award. He made a fantastic speech. Not only did he introduce Sir Paul McCartney as the man who invented this job, but he wanted to explain to everyone that Paul had taken him out on a Magical Mystery Tour in the afternoon in his car. Took him around Penny Lane, Strawberry Field, all the places we're going to see today. And he said it was quite surreal. It was like being in the Pope-mobile with the Pope driving. It certainly was quite strange having a Beatle tour from a Beatle. Where the arena is, up until a few years ago, the whole site down there was just a big gravel car park. It did actually have a Beatle relevance anyway. Back in 1990, Paul McCartney did a world tour, which he started off at the Maracana Stadium, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He wants to finish that world tour back over Liverpool. Now, being famous for our music, we didn't have a stadium big enough for Paul McCartney. So 3 weeks before the concert, he sent a team of people down there to build a makeshift arena on that wasteland. The night of the show, 100,000 people turned up. Paul got very nervous at the reception he was getting back home to Liverpool, so an hour and a half late going on stage. When he eventually made it to the stage, he made history. It was the first time ever Sgt. Pepper had been performed live on stage by a Beatle. He then sat at the piano, paid tribute to John Lennon with a medley of songs, finishing off with Give Peace a Chance. As you know, Give Peace a Chance normally lasts about 3.5 minutes. On that night, the crowd was singing that loud. After 3.5 minutes, Paul the band up and walked off stage. 7 minutes later, the crowd was still singing that loud. Paul the band came back on stage and joined with the crowd. Give Peace a Chance lasted over 15.5 minutes that night. Many thousand taxis were delivered. I myself went walking all the way to Highton with my mother and father, 8.5 miles away. I didn't look at the time, I was 8 9. Paul also likes to finish his recent world tour, and again it was on the King's Dock, the 1st of June 2003, in front of a crowd of 35,000 people. But now we've got the new arena, which holds 10,600. So it's not really an arena big enough for Paul McCartney. So last time he came to Liverpool to do a big show, 1st of June 2008, he had to play at Anfield, Liverpool's football ground again, in front of a crowd of 35,000. Paul has now performed at the arena 3 times now, and most recently he performed in front of a sellout crowd, 10,664 people, and played for just over 3 hours without a break. It's not bad at the age of 76. Especially when you consider a few months back we had Justin Bieber at the arena. 2 more. It was 2 hours into the show when he took his first sip of water. So right, that's a break. Let's do some more. 47 songs back to back. Now up to the left hand side, up on the top of the mount, you'll see the first of our 2 cathedrals in Liverpool, the brown one, our Anglican Cathedral. It's actually the largest Anglican cathedral in Europe, second largest. In 1953, at the age of 11, James Paul McCartney went for an audition to join the cathedral choir. He was rejected, told his voice wasn't good enough. He did get revenge, he planned it really well. What he did is he became really, really famous. Then wrote a classical piece of music called Liverpool Oratorio. 1991, he had the world premiere at that cathedral, backed by the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra and some of the biggest names from the world of opera. To get revenge, Paul managed to track down the original choir master and invite him to the show. Straight after the gig, Paul up to him and said, "You remember me?" He said, "Yes, Paul, I remember you." He said, "You wouldn't let me in the choir." He said, "No, you ain't good enough." Paul said, "I've done all right for myself now, haven't I?" He said, "Yes, Paul, you've done very well for yourself. That's because I wouldn't let you in the choir." To this day, the choir master's still trying to get the credit for making Paul so famous. It was also in that cathedral, 1981, the people of Liverpool were given a chance to say goodbye to John Lennon at a peace vigil. Although the cathedral holds 2,500 people, 5,000 turned up that night. There's but a PA system outside of the grounds, so that everybody could listen to the music of Lennon and McCartney, being played through the 10,000 pipe organ, which is also the largest pipe organ in the world. But this area also played home to the Quarrymen's first public appearance. Quarrymen, of course, John Lennon's first band, his skiffle band, which he started at Quarry Bank School. The first public appearance took place 22nd of June 1957. It was a street party to celebrate 750 years since King John had granted Liverpool its first royal charter. There's a very famous photograph of the band playing at that gig on the back of a coal truck. Although it was their first public appearance, the Quarrymen were actually paid 10 shillings, 50 pence for that gig. To this day, the Quarrymen still say they never received a penny. John kept all the money. Local girls made such a fuss about the band, local teddy boys got very jealous and started causing fights. The lady who lived at number 84 Rosebery Street invited the band to wait inside her house. After 2 hours, the crowd was still waiting outside to fight with the band, so she called the police. And although it was their first public appearance, the Quarrymen actually had a police escort back to the bus stop to get their bus back to Penny Lane. Rosebery Street, I'll point out just a second, it's coming up on the left-hand side. Again, slightly different. I haven't looked in the photographs. This next one here, Rosebery Street, but the Quarrymen did the first public appearance, 22nd of June, 1957. That little side street, just there. This next little side street on your left hand side just here, this is Mandarin Street. Now we look down the left hand side, the fifth house down on the left is number 9 Mandarin Street. The builders built his house by strapping a monkey to the front of the house, so in between the upstairs and downstairs windows they want the monkey strapped to the front. That's number 9 Mandarin Street. It was there, 7th of July 1940 Ringo Starr was born. He lived there for 4 years with his mother and father, Richard and Elsie, till they then separated. Ringo and his mother stayed in their house. His father moved out, he moved in with his parents. Not very far away, just down the street at number 59. About a year later, Elsie met a new man in her life, a man called Harry Graves from Brighton. Once the relationship was well underway, they decided to get themselves their own house. Liking this area so much, they didn't move very far. Just this little side street on the right, number 10 Admiral Grove. Halfway down the right hand side, the White House, now painted in pink. On a Friday and Saturday evening, Harry and Elsie would come to this little pub on the corner of the Empress. Played a piano, Elsie would sing. Her favourite song was a Doris Day wartime song called Sentimental Journey. When Ringo released his first solo album, he called the album Sentimental Journey as a tribute to his mother. The Empress pub was featured on the front cover of the album. Album released 27th of March 1970. When Ringo was 5 years old, he was given that terrible news. He had to start going to school. The school he attended was on the left, St. Silas C.V. School, also attended by another great Liverpool. When Ringo left school, he left school with no qualifications. He'd never really spent that much time at school as a child because of illness. There's one time he was taken to hospital with pleurisy. While in hospital, a nurse surgeon had an knack for keeping rhythm while he was playing the tambourine on one of the wards. He was in a local band called the Alan Caldwell Skiffle Group, who later changed the name to Rory Storm Hurricane. That's the first band he was playing with when he first went off to Hamburg, where he got to know the Beatles. It's also the band he was playing with when he developed his nickname. Rory Storm the Hurricane's a quite flamboyant band, so to fit in, he decided to wear a big gold ring on every finger. One day when he came home, his mum said to him he looked more like a Ringo than a Richard, so he kept it, shortened the Starkey to Star. But as you know, Ringo wasn't the first drummer in the Beatles. In the early days, he used a different drummer at virtually every gig. After failing an audition to become Billy Fiore's backing band, they were off the tour of Scotland, supporting Johnny Gentle. The drummer for that tour was a guy called Tommy Moore. But on returning to Liverpool, Tommy immediately left the band, according to Alan Williams, who was the manager at the time, because he just couldn't get on with John Lennon. They had a complete clash of personalities, couldn't stand each other. So I say Tommy just left the band. The lads then decided to replace him with a full-time drummer. They wanted someone to have time to settle into the band and gel with them. So they signed this local lad called Pete Best, and they were the new Pete because of his time at the Casbah. The Best family owned the Casbah was the basement of their family home, which they converted into a coffee club. The Quarrymen performed the opening night, became the resident band, playing there every Saturday for 7 weeks. Pete stood in for them on a couple of occasions. So I say they decided to audition Pete, again, according to Alan Williams, they knew Pete was going to get the job. They just made him audition so that he couldn't demand more money. Pete got the job, went off to Hamburg with the lads, and was still with them when they secured the recording contract with EMI Parlophone. Now it was during the early sessions recording what we do, and Ron Richards, one of the producers, said no matter how many times he asked Pete to do a particular drum beat, he just couldn't quite get it right. He has also said that he doesn't think Ringo would have got it right either, or in fact there was a drummer on earth who would have made him happy at the time. Street signs of Penny Lane. As we turn into Penny Lane, you'll notice there are street signs on either side. The one on the left, just above it, on the wall, is the remnants of some white paint. So you notice the one on the street sign, on the left. Above it on the wall is the remnants of some white paint. That's because the street signs were painted on the wall from the late 60s, because the council got sick of replacing them after Beatles fans from all over the world kept borrowing them, not bringing them back. So decided to paint on the wall and people chip away to the heart's content. Nice logo. So we'll jump off, get the photographs, and talk about Penny Lane as we're moving. Can't go until we've spoken to him. I've got